Hey guys, today we are going to react to one of those My Story videos that you've probably seen or watched at least one of them. They're really weird, and today we're going to react to one called I Am Psycho. Okay, so this is the thumbnail of the video, and so far we look like we have Harley Quinn, apparently. Don't ask me why. It looks pretty weird. I don't know why they have a giant mace, but I guess we're going to have to watch this, cringe fest. Okay, we're at the video, and I guess we're gonna have to watch it.
You see, when I was 16 years old, my life took an unexpected turn.
What
I
the
was born
heck?
and raised in what...
Did she just eat cake?
You
in
see,
her,
when
did
I
you
was
see her
16 years
stomach?
old, my life took an unexpected turn.
What?
Born
Alright, this
and
is already
raised in
weird.
what people consider to be a prestigious family.
Okay,
I
nice.
had
She lives in
everything
the
I
White
could wish
House.
for, yet it wasn't the life I wanted.
Nope.
As any teenage girl, I wanted to party, hang out with friends, and find true love. But according to my family rules, I can't date anyone
That's weird.
I wanted. And as a stubborn kid, I broke the rules. And to make a long story short, I ended up being pregnant
God.
from the love of my life.
You're kidding, right?
Owen, or so I thought. Well,
Or
my
so
story
I
is
thought.
not about getting pregnant by mistake. No. Though I was 16, I wanted to be a mom. A lot of you might judge me for that, but all I wanted was,
Why would you judge someone for wanting to be a
9 months
mom?
locked in my own. They treated me.
Hold on.
It sounded like
Gotta get
not
it
about
back.
getting pregnant by mistake. No. Though I was 16, I wanted to be a mom. A lot of you might judge me for that, but all I
Why?
wanted was a child of my own. Plus,
I mean,
it
that makes
sounded
sense.
like
That's
a
what you're
great
supposed
idea
to
to
do.
convince my parents to let me live my life as I wanted. However, what I was not expecting was
God,
my
look at her
parents'
face.
reaction when they heard the news. They treated me as if I was their enemy. They locked me in my room so that no one would notice my belly bump and threatened my boyfriend
Belly
to stay
bump?
away from me. I was devastated, and I cried my eyes
okay.
out every single day. But my boyfriend promised me that when I turned 18, he'll be waiting for me. We will live at his apartment, and he'll take care of us. I spent 9 months locked in my own room, suffering.
9
But my boyfriend
months?
will see it once it's born because
Oh my God, I
they
keep-
didn't even allow me.
Oh my God.
Prepared my room, and he'll take care of us. I spent 9 months locked in my own room, suffering. I tried to break out a couple of times, but it didn't work.
Are you telling me that that window didn't break from you poking it with a wooden stick? Are you really that weak? I mean, you could punch the window, right? I mean, it's not like the windows on houses are that thick. Whatever.
My parents brought a private doctor to our house and prepared my room to let me give birth there. They spent a fortune in order to protect their reputation, which apparently is more valuable than their daughter. They were so cruel to me, they didn't even allow me to know the gender of my child. All they said...
Wouldn't be able to find that out easily, the gender of your child? Or did they literally just, like, put it under a blanket?
that I won't be able to see it once it's born because they will, and I quote, get rid of it. I begged them to let me hold it or even
Why does the mom look like she cares for it so much, but really she's about to toss it
see
out?
it before they took it away, but they just refused. They were heartless. When it was time to give birth, I saw the doctor's tag and memorized his name. I memorized as many details as possible so that when I find a way out, I'll go and look for my baby. I promised to find and protect my child no matter what. After they took my baby away, I was in a deep depression. I felt like part of me was missing and I just couldn't take it anymore.
Parasite.
Passing day, I hated my parents even more and aspired for the day I'd break free. Years
I mean, to be honest, who wouldn't hate their parents for that?
passed, and I turned 18. For the passing 2 years, I was planning my escape and saving money. And when the day had come, I left a note to
Why? If you're crying so much, you're gonna ruin your notes. You're sobbing on them too much.
parents telling them that I'm gone for good. I was heartbroken for how they treated me, so I never looked back. I even wished
Isn't that bed kind of small for her? I mean, yikes.
would suffer as much as I did when they took my child away. The first thing I did was go to my boyfriend's house. I was so naive, thinking that he would wait 2 years to be with me. I caught him living with another woman
No dip.
that claimed to be his girlfriend. When he saw me that day, he was in my boyfriend's
Come on,
house.
just-
I
you
was
saw
so
that, right?
naive, thinking that he would wait 2 years to be with me. I caught him living with another woman that claimed to be his girlfriend. When he saw me that day, he was in a
Look at this face. This is sad.
huge shock. He told me that he had lost hope and never expected to see me again. I asked him about the baby, but he had
Okay, look at their mouth. Just look at the girl's mouth. Just look at
no
it.
clue. He said that he tried to
That's some quality animation there, guys.
search for it, but he had nothing to direct him. So he just had to give up and start over. I was surprised by him. I mean, this is his child. How could he just give up and start over as if nothing happened? I was heartbroken, yet I guess he's right. If you look at the situation from his point of view, he might be right. My parents were
Might be. Oh my god.
too strict towards him, threatened him a couple of times, and he hadn't any piece of information about our child. Plus, he was kind and promised to help me look for our baby. He cooked me
I gotta say, whoever is animating these videos, whatever, like, people, they have to work for Pixar, man, or Disney. They gotta get these animators, man. They're so good.
dinner and we talked. I gave him all the information I had, and he assured me that he'll find our baby. Once we were done and I was about to leave, he asked me if I had anywhere else to go. I replied, no, but it's okay. I can rent a room at a motel or something.
But where did you get
However,
the money?
Owen was a good guy and offered me to stay for a while at his apartment. Honestly, I
Yeah.
couldn't say no because this was part of my plan from the beginning. His girlfriend was mad. I could tell from the look she
Just
had
take
on
a look at these backgrounds, though. Like, they're just...
face. Yet
It's
I didn't
annoying,
care.
these
I am
backgrounds.
the mother of his child, and I have a right to stay at his place more than she does. But what
Are
I
you
didn't
sure?
expect was what happened next. As I was unpacking my stuff, I heard their voices, kissing. I mean, I
Well,
know
duh.
I'm the
How-
outsider in
wait.
this house. Stay at his
Hear their voices kissing?
place more than
I'm
she
not
does.
gonna ask.
Little respect for being...
Oh.
Expect was what happened next. As I was
You didn't
unpacking my
expect
stuff,
a
I
girlfriend
heard
and a
their
boyfriend
voices
to
kissing.
kiss?
I mean, I know I'm the outsider in this house, yet I expected a little respect for being the mother of his child. The next day, when Owen
I don't get why you act like being the mother of his child, to, like, you have the ultimate responsibility to basically still be, like, a husband and a wife. You're not his girlfriend anymore. Deal with it.
girlfriend left for work, he came to my room and apologized for what had happened. He
I apologize for living my life. And look at that arm. That's all I have to say.
explained that it was hard for her to accept what he'd done for me, and she wanted to prove to me that he's hers. I appreciated his apology and actually felt kind of
Clap,
bad
clap,
for him.
clap.
I mean, he is facing a heart issue. After our conversation, we
Whoa.
looked up the doctor's name and found
they
the
do
name
that
of the
on
hospital he
purpose?
works for.
Their
When I
faces
arrived
made
there,
me
I was
cringe.
shaking. When I saw the doctor, the whole thing flashed back to my memory, and I could hear my
Dang.
baby's voice crying.
You could hear your baby's voice crying. Wait, well, yeah, not that, but it all came flashing back. I mean, that didn't happen like in your childhood. That was like what, 2 years ago?
I had a breakdown and I started sobbing. Owen held me in his arms and the doctors rushed to help me. After that incident, I was
Seriously?
finally calm and able to speak to the doctor. However, he refused to tell me anything. He just asked me to leave and never return. But
Oh
I
my
couldn't
God.
give up on my baby, so I came back the next day and looked for him. But to my surprise,
This doctor tell her to never go back to the hospital again. That's weird.
there were huge guards that dragged me to a black car outside of the
What? Hold on, I wasn't listening.
sobbing. Owen held me in his arms and the doctors rushed to help me. After that incident, I was finally calm and able to speak to the doctor. However, he refused to tell me anything. He just asked me to leave and never return. But I couldn't give up on my baby, so I came back the next day and looked for him. But to my surprise, there were huge
Oh.
guards that dragged me to a black car outside of the hospital. No one even dared to
Seriously?
help me. They drove for what seemed like an hour until we arrived at
What? I mean, come on. 2 security guards just drag you into their car and nobody even thinks to call the police? I mean, they're just supposed to keep you out of the building. They don't have to drive you to some cottage.
an
apparently.
abandoned house in the middle of the
Abandoned
woods.
house.
But what made my jaw
Oh my
drop
God,
was
these
when I saw my
backgrounds.
father standing in front of me. He
What
was
about
the
your
one
mother?
who did this to me. I couldn't believe a
Look at him.
normal person would
And look at it. Look at the smiley face.
such a thing to his daughter, but that was just not enough for him. It's not enough that he didn't apologize or anything. He gave me a plane ticket and some money and said, "You are a disgrace to our family. Just
Why?
leave and start."
Why
his
is she a disgrace for wanting to have a child? You had a child too, you know.
But that was
This is
just
sad.
not enough for him. It's not enough that he didn't apologize or anything. He gave me a plane ticket and some money and said, "You are a disgrace
Bro, the mom is just like, what's happening here?
to our family.
Oh my God.
Just leave and start a new life away from us." That
She
is
already
just
did.
unbelievable. What a cruel father.
wow.
He continued saying that I should just disappear and never try to come back or look for my child again.
That makes no sense.
Or else. I was helpless
Or
and
else
powerless,
you-
so
You can call the
Unbel-
police, you know.
unbelievable. to obey. The whole thing just ended there, and my life took another direction. I went abroad and started.
Those aren't really the plane. That's not the planes that. That's not a passenger plane. I'm not gonna ask.
New life. You might be shocked, but 16 years
I'd like trying to do like a bunch of like anime style, because it's clearly not working.
have passed since that day, and I spend my entire life in a foreign country away from everyone. But I
So you didn't live in America first?
can assure you that I haven't forgotten about my
Well, I
kid
mean,
this whole time.
yeah, I
After
guess
those
you
years,
didn't,
I
but-
finally managed to get back to my country.
How come the
And I
plane looks
spend
like
my
that?
had to attend
now?
my
Oh, come on.
life in a foreign country away from everyone. But I can assure you that I haven't forgotten about my kid this whole time.
Well, then
After
you'd
those
be, like,
years, I
16
finally
now.
managed to get back to my country because I had to attend my father's funeral.
Why?
Yes, the heartless man had died, and I was finally kind of free. When I arrived home,
So why did you
I
go-
couldn't feel pity for my mother, though she was broken and needed her daughter. Yet I just couldn't. She agreed to my father's cruelness and tortured me for the past 18 years.
By
From the
groping you? That's kind of like assault. You could call the cops for that.
day they locked me inside my room till this day,
Did they lock you inside the room? Then how come she's opening it so
I
much?
promised myself not to forgive either of them. My mother
Then why are you sitting with each other?
tried to talk to me every single day, but I just kept on refusing until the day she said, "Rose, I named her Rose after your grandmother. She's as beautiful as you," and she was sent to an orphanage. My heart almost stopped when I heard those words. She gave me some papers
You have a small heart.
and the address to that orphanage. She asked me if we could
Google Maps.
talk for a bit, but I just refused. I told her that
I
I
just
appreciate her help,
refused.
but that is not enough to fix what she had broken inside of me. As I was leaving, I saw her shedding some tears. Though I felt bad, I was
Shedding some tears? I'm sorry, what? Look at her face.
too angry to
not
just
gonna ask.
forgive her. So I headed to the orphanage as fast as possible.
Wow, you're so
When I
fast.
arrived there, I was trembling and shaking. I was terrified and started wondering how Rose would react when I finally tell her that I'm her biological mother. However, as I expected, she wasn't there. I mean, she's
bit.
18 years old, and probably she'd been adopted
She's a
or left
grown-up
to live on
now.
her own. But what they told me there
Whoa.
made me at the
Yikes. That's... Oh my god.
edge of collapsing. My poor
Oh, there you
daughter had
go.
been transferred into a couple of foster homes. And 5 years ago, she was last adopted by a grown-up couple who lived in the countryside. After proving that I'm her biological mother, the lady approved of giving me her new address. I was overjoyed and relieved. I'm finally going to meet my daughter after all these years. When I arrived at her foster parents' house,
That's
I
small.
felt something weird. Suddenly, I had a pain in my stomach and I had trouble breathing. I pulled my car next to their house and noticed that I'm sweating. I guess after all, I'm too nervous to meet my daughter for the first time. I walked towards the door, shivering, and when I knocked, a weird-looking man in his 30s opened it. I immediately asked him about Rose, and to my surprise, he was shocked. He tried to pretend that he never heard of her. I knew
Why?
he was lying, therefore I offered
Why? Why?
him money, and it worked. After all, no one can say no to Benjamin Franklin. That
I can.
Anne said that she used to live at this house with his aunt, and when she died, Rose refused to stay with him, so she went to live on
Oh,
her
no
own.
dip, dude. You're weird.
I was heartbroken and immediately started to cry. My poor daughter. She must have suffered a lot in her life. With my red eyes and puffy nose, I went around asking for her until I
What?
found out the whole ugly truth. My poor daughter was in jail. I couldn't forgive
of
myself
course.
or my parents after hearing her story. I was
What?
told the man who lived in the house was mean to her. He tried to harm her
Whoa.
and left her without food or money. He used to let her sleep outside sometimes if
If
she
she was 18, she could have reported him to the police. She's 18.
didn't bring enough money from begging. He used her as a beggar, and one time she had to steal because she had nothing to give him and was afraid to face him.
And she didn't freaking tell them about it?
But that day she was caught
Yeah, why didn't she?
and sent to jail. After hearing what happened to my poor child, I wanted to smash his face into the ground.
Do
I
it.
wanted to get back to his place and let him wish
Whoa.
he was never
What? That's not rain, is it? That is not rain.
born. However, I decided to think rationally and reasonably and let justice decide his destiny. After a long, hard day,
Oh my
I
God.
went to the jail looking for Rose. And when I finally found her,
Holy
I burst
crap.
into tears like a baby. I asked for permission to meet her, yet the police officer apologized and said, "Ma'am, your daughter refused to accept your visit. She said she doesn't want to see you." At that
Oh,
moment,
you're dead.
my whole world collapsed. I suddenly realized I was too busy looking for her. I didn't think about her feelings. All I cared about was myself and how bad I wanted to find her. However, I never thought about how she might feel or if she even knows about my existence. I guess she thought that I gave her up. Yet at the same time, she has to know the truth. I won't surrender just like that after what I've been through.
That's not
Therefore, I kept
Did she just...
Or
What did
I'm
that
too busy
flag
looking
say?
for her. I didn't think about her feelings. All I cared about was myself and how bad I wanted to find her. However, I never thought about how she might feel or if she even knows about my existence. I guess she thought that I gave her up. Yet at the same time, she has to know the
let's
truth.
read this flag.
I won't surrender just like that after what I've been
that's not
through.
how you spell
Therefore,
surrender.
I kept trying to visit her every single day for the last couple of months, but she kept on refusing. I felt helpless and almost gave up. But then, and I've been
Hey, here's a thought. Do you actually live somewhere? Do you have a house?
popped into my head.
Do you even have a
To join
job?
her,
How are you
yes,
doing this?
Join her in prison. I planned on doing something
Join her
that
in
might
prison.
get me
How
the
do we
least
even know
jail
you're gonna be in the
sentence.
same cell?
However, it turned into something unexpected. I messed the whole thing up and ended with a 20-year sentence. I was devastated.
Are you
I mean, I know
stupid?
what I did was wrong, but it was not on purpose.
You decided that you wanted to go to jail with your daughter. She probably had, like, I don't know, maybe not even, like, that long, because she just, like, pickpocketed. And you decide you want to go to the jail. You're just going to run into somebody with your car on purpose. And you think you're going to get, like, a 2-year sentence for... Oh, my God. These stories really suck.
I just ended up ruining my life and the chance of having
Why are you doing this with your hands?
normal life with Rose. But on the bright side, I was finally able to see my daughter. Though it's been like 18 years, and I was not able to watch
my
her
God.
first steps and blow out candles for her birthday, I felt satisfied seeing her in front of me. I tried to approach her a couple of times, and when we finally got to talk, I explained everything to her. It was a big burden for her to carry, but I
She's just
just
sitting
couldn't
on it?
wait to spend another minute without her.
I'm pretty sure
Days
you were the one
passed, and
carrying
as I was
that.
trying to build a relationship with my daughter, I got notified that a family member is here to visit me. It was my mom. I was bursting with fury and blamed her and my dad for what happened to me and my daughter. But when I was about to refuse her visit, I remembered myself, how desperate I was to meet my daughter. I suddenly noticed that she's been trying to do the same thing with me. She was trying to explain to me that my father is the one that forced her to do what she'd done. I felt like my daughter was treating me like how I treated my mother. I kept on blaming her for something she was forced to do. Therefore, I accepted her visit. When she saw me, she burst into tears and hugged me tight. We sat and talked
Quality
as I
animation
expected.
still.
My father was behind everything, and he threatened her as well. But to my surprise,
Can't she just
she
leave him?
said that she tried to approach Owen a couple of times, and he just ignored her. I was
Ooh.
mad at him at first, but I guess after all, he's either scared or acting like a jerk. In either case, I didn't want him in my life again. After our conversation, my mother
He did
asked to
take
meet
you
my
in,
daughter
you
as
know.
well, and to my surprise, Rose agreed. When the three of us
What?
sat and talked, we almost cried our eyes out. Yet we
Why?
agreed that from now on,
Wow, look at their
our future
faces.
would be different, and
The-
we will live
what
our
the heck?
happily
This
ever
is
after.
sad.
However, the biggest problem was that I had to serve 20 years. But then my mom said she hired a good lawyer for my case, and he ordered
Oh
an
my
appeal.
God, is that the lawyer
I was
from Ace
super
Attorney?
excited. My
I mean, I've
mother's
seen him, I
words
don't play
brought
the game,
joy
but-
to my
oh
ears,
my
and I
God.
just wished that it would work and we'd finally be able to live as we wanted.
Isn't this almost
Fortunately, it
over?
worked, and I had to serve a
There
much
he is again.
lower sentence. I spent a year with my daughter until she was finally free. We spent a lot of time together, and we were
Hey, guys,
lucky
in
enough
love.
to become cellmates.
Okay, the one thing I want to know is, this is called I Am a Psycho, and this was nothing about being a psycho. This was completely irrelevant to what the it should be called, like, my dad kicked my baby out and I went to jail, which still sounds very stupid, but this has nothing to do. And these two videos also look pretty weird. My boyfriend's dad wants to finish me off. Well, okay, but this really had nothing to do with I'm a Psycho. And basically all these are really messed up too. They suck. And that's all I have to say. I'm out.